Let's go ahead and move on into the latest Mission Impossible film. Now, Mission Impossible is one of those franchises that you really don't expect to have been around as consistently as it has, especially given the measurable increase in quality that the franchise as a whole has had, especially since the third movie, which came out in '06, I want to say, MI3. Um, I mean, we don't talk about the second film very much, but the first film, that Brian De Palma film that came out in '06, was like an amazing sort of framework upon which to set all of these other films that have come ever since. And really, that film could only really be surpassed by the tonal shift that was brought about with the third film, the J.J. Abrams film that came out in '06, and just the way that all the films since then have really taken more tonally from the third film than the first film. And so it's one of those things that it really kind of makes you wonder, like, how much further is this story really going to go? Like, because it's clear that this whole thing has just become far more the Ethan Hunt show than the Jim Phelps thing, especially since because of the way the first film ended 25 years ago. Like, I don't want to like say that ending, even though it's a 25-year-old film, but they kind of had to keep going with the Tom Cruise character after that. But I'm sure there's places to stream that first movie if you're curious. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this first trailer for the seventh film. I think this is 7. Yeah, the 2018 film Fallout. That was number 6. So here is number 7. That is apparently being split into 2 parts. So here's the first trailer for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. Has it already been 10 years, this guy? Yeah, actually, shoot. Ghost Protocol was like 2011, so yeah, there you go.
Your days of fighting for the so-called greater good are over.
Yeah, Kittredge from the first Mission Impossible from
This is our
1996.
chance to control the truth, the concepts of right and wrong for everyone for centuries to come.
It looked like that guy walking down the hallway looked like Ensign Mount from
doesn't exist.
Star Trek
Never did.
Strange New Worlds.
You need to pick a side.
A lot of other familiar faces in here so far. That guy looks familiar. I think this. Okay. Crazy, intense, random, interspersed montage of exotic locations and crazy stunts. CGI. That's all CGI. Can't even tell. What kind of car is that? Is that little like a Ego or something? Not as much of a car guy, more of a computer guy. Also, how bizarre is it? Oh, from Guardians of the Galaxy. Remember that? I forgot Billy Atwell. What If? I think I can say Marvel's What If. I don't want to say anymore about her. Here we go. Title card. Naturally, just put it right there, right on the heels of the big gigantic dive stunt, because that's another big thing about the Mission Impossible movies is it's just not an MI film without somebody doing a big gigantic jump and then like landing right this close to landing like face first on the ground, basically. Like there's always one crazy elaborate sort of version of that stunt, basically. And it's always interesting. That's one of the most interesting parts of these movies that I always look forward to is like, where's the big gigantic jump? There's always a big crazy gigantic jump, right? Like Fallout, he did this big gigantic halo drop from low orbit essentially. And let me see, I think the 5th one, he did a big jump into this underwater sort of like computer server area type of thing. I don't remember the exact full context of that, but the 4th film, he handed that off to Jeremy Renner. He did the jump in 4. 3, he did this weird little thing trying to break into, I think it was geez, I think it was basically some sort of Catholic church or something. He just basically just rolled over the wall and did that. The second film, he was off the side of a chopper, and then the first film, he was in this computer room in Langley in the CIA headquarters, and that's basically where that whole thing started. And okay, I mean, it's interesting that you went ahead and showed us at the very least a piece of what that's going to look like, with the whole jumping off of a cliff on a motorcycle thing. But I mean, goodness, man, I was sort of looking forward to seeing to seeing what it was going to be. I wasn't expecting it to get spoiled in the first preview. And not to mention, this is part one of this whole movie. Unless part two has its own jump scene, does this imply that it literally is one whole movie being broken into two pieces? Like, if that's the case, are we not going to get a jump in part two when that drops? I guess, a year or so after this, because that's usually the format. It's usually like whatever year part one drops, it's another year for part two to finally release. So it's like, it's going to be weird. If that's the case, it's going to be really weird seeing a Mission Impossible film without any jumps at all, because we covered that in part one. So, I want to do this, but you know what? I'm pleased with what I've read about like who's involved and the kind of story that they're converging towards here, given the way that Fallout ended. And seeing all these familiar faces from the franchise again, like this is one of those franchises that goes out of its way to care about continuity, and that's always that's always an interesting thing to see done well without sort of falling into like lazy storytelling tropes to do that. So, that's, I'll give that a thumbs up. July 2023 is when that's releasing. So that means part two is most likely dropping in 24. Man, so we're coming up on, and then 2026 is going to be the 30th anniversary of this franchise. So it's anyone's guess what's going to be happening after that happens, after Dead Reckoning 2. But all right, I guess that's it. Thumbs up for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Let's go ahead and move on